Hey guys, welcome back to Maples Outdoors. Today we're going to do the same thing we done on the last video, except this time we're going to do the 3.5 inch paddle tail from Do It Mold. Going to use some pretty cool colors today. I got from Lure Works Baby Bass, and this color is beautiful. It is a nice pretty green color, and same thing from Lure Works is a highlight green. Same, it's just one of those highlight powders. It works amazingly. We're going to add a little bit of black 40 thousandths flake from Bait Plastics in with the highlight green. I've already got the Baby Bass already made up. I've been playing with it, so I've already got some made up, and it's got some 40 thousandths black and green in it. Actually, I take that back. It's got 15 thousandths green, black in it, and 40 thousandths green. So we're gonna go ahead and get us some of the highlight green mixed up, and we're gonna make us some baby bass. So I'm using the Bait Plastics 242 blend. It's real low odor, works great. That's what I use for most of my baits. So like I said, we're gonna use this highlight green. We're gonna make us up some belly is what I'm going to use it for. The belly for the baby bass I'm going to make. Alright, so now that we got our plastic up to temp, we're going to go ahead and add our highlight green powder from Lure Works in. Now I'm doing a 3.5 inch paddle tail, so I want a little bit more color this time. I made these one day with the 2 inch paddle tails, and turned out great, but I didn't use very much powder. I wanted to wait and see what it turned out to look like before I got too much added in there. So get it stirred up in there. It wants to clump up on you. You gotta make sure your plastic's hot. You gotta get it stirred up good. So now we're going to be doing the laminate mold like I've done in a previous video, and you know, my version of the laminate if you watched my previous video. Oh, and before I forget, if this is the first time you've watched the video, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification, that bell notification. Trying to get a few more followers. Looks like it needs to add some more powder to it. Way I was taught was you can always add more, but you can't ever take it back out. That just applies to anything. Kind of like that measure twice, cut once theory. So let's get this mixed up. Show y'all what this looks like. Still got to add in the glitter. Hadn't done that yet. I wanted to get the color down right before I added the glitter in. Of course, this will change colors once you heat it up, so you gotta be careful of that. Alright, that's looking good. Got that highlight to it. The thing about the powder, like I said, it clumps up. You gotta be careful of that. Gotta make sure you get it stirred up good. Now we're going to go ahead and add the, let's see, wrong side, 40 thousandths black from Bait Plastics. See how that looks before I get too crazy adding it in. That's looking about right. I'll put that off to the side then. Alright, now plastic's cooled down. Gonna have to heat it back up. Of course, like I said, the color's gonna change up a little bit. So we're gonna pop this back in the microwave and get it heated back up. Alright, now that we got the baby bass all heated up, because it's gonna be the back of the paddle tail, go ahead and check my temp, make sure I am right where I need to be. Go ahead and draw it up. I've already got my mold all lubed up with some vegetable oil. So I'm gonna draw this baby bass up. Like I said, now this has got some 40 thousandths green and 15 thousandths black in it. Get that all injected in. You ain't got to do a whole lot of pressure. Just a little bit of pressure. When you feel it stop going, that's all you got to do. Like to top off the sprue just a little bit. That way when it cools, it sucks it back up in there. Get rid of the excess. Set this off to the side. Now, I'm going to let this cool for a minute. Get you up here where you can see me. I'm going to let this cool for a minute and take it out, and I'll be back with you and show you how I cut it up if you haven't watched any of my other videos. And we're going to do my version of a laminate. Alright guys, so now we've got this one cooled down. Go ahead and open it up and show you how I cut them down and make my own laminate. So let's see how these turned out. Oh, they look good. Alright, now if you watch my other video, you know how I cut them down, but if not, then you get to see it right here, right now. So I like to use the smallest pair of scissors, and what I like to do is I like to cut them right here at this gill plate. What you want to keep is that back side, the spine of the fish down to the tail. And once you cut down that gill plate, just work your way down, and I like to curve mine down toward the belly and cut about that much out of it. Throw it back in your cup, and that leaves you with that little bitty section of the paddle tail. Now, there's only 3 of them on this one, so we'll go ahead and cut them up. I got thinking one night, you know, all these molds they're not cheap, but they're not expensive depending on which ones you get. And the double injectors are just a little bit out of my price range right now. I'm just getting started doing this. Wanted to make a little bit more efficient way to be able to go fishing and use baits and not have to worry about tearing them up and having to go buy a new pack every so many weeks, depending on how much I use. But once you get them laid in there, the sprue on this mold is up on top, so that's how I do the bottom, or get the back of it done first, is because it lays in the bottom. Once you get them in there, just make sure they're lined up good, everything's laying down good. Close it up, make sure none of the tails are gonna fold over and get in the way. You want that plastic to be able to ease down through there, be able to get to all the cavities. Now, I've got my plastic already heated up for the belly. That's that green highlight. Turned out real good. I say I've got it heated up. I'm gonna have to heat it up just a little bit more. So I use a microwave to heat mine up. A lot of people use an electric stove eye, one of them little single uses, little single eye jobs. They work. You can get the temp to a certain amount and stop, and you don't have to worry about, get that stop, don't have to worry about overcooking your plastic. You get it overcooked, this bait plastics is hard. It's got a built-in, what do they call it, heat resistant. But if you're melting down old plastics and using them, you know, store-bought, they don't have that heat resistant in it. So we're going to draw up this baby bass, or the green highlight, my bad, and inject that one in. Top that sprue off just a little bit. Set that off to the side. Now, we'll let this cool for just a minute, and we'll show you how they turned out. So now that these have cooled down, gonna pop these open. You can see how they turned out. Get her opened up here. Oh man, these look good. These look juicy. Look at them. Now don't that look good? Wanted to give this a try. I done it with my 2-inch paddle tail mold, and they turned out great. Want to use these on possibly an Alabama rig, maybe just a swim bait jig. Right now, they're biting about anything. A lot of people are biting on Carolina rig and everything like that. Now, get that stinking hook to go back up there the right way. Now, another one I can do, a laminate, is on this craw chunk. Now, these are from Do-It molds. They are a good cheap mold, but I'm not going to go into that. So on this one, we're going to do tails one color and the body another color, and I'll show you how to do that here. So, alright, so this time we're going to do the 3 1/4 inch craw chunk from Do It, and I've already got my green chartreuse. I'm going to do a green chartreuse and a pumpkin seed body. So go ahead and draw up the green chartreuse and get it put in the mold. I love doing this stuff, guys. It's so relaxing and it allows creativity. I sitting out here one night bored. Not to say that I ain't got enough to do as it is, but I was sitting out here bored one night. I was looking on Amazon, looking at the dual injectors, and just looking at the price of them. Man, they are just a little bit out of my price range right now. And Googling different soft plastics and stuff, and you know, decided I was gonna try to come up with my own spin. And I seen a guy had done his own version of a laminate, and he done it a little bit different than I did. He done it on a different mold, of course. So I decided I'd give it a shot. Try one of my ideas. So I tried pouring a bait, cutting it different places, and I found that if I can cut it on those little paddle tails, if I cut it at the gill plate, it allows for the sprue to get the plastic past the first color, and it gives the head and the belly of it that lighter color or darker color, whichever direction you decide to take it. So thought I'd give it a shot and see how it turns out. I like to take this time to get my injector cleaned up, and get my thermometer cleaned up. If I don't do it now, I'll do like I've done before and accidentally draw up fresh plastic in the injector and have the first color already still in it and forgot to clean it out. So we'll go ahead and throw this pumpkin seed in there. Hopefully y'all can hear me over the microwave. It's about cooled down enough. Let that pumpkin seed heat up while we take this one out and cool the other one off, or cut this one up while the other one heats up. Get my tongue to work right today. So see, I fill the whole cavity up. Just pinch these little bad boys off here. Throw your excess up in your old cup. Now, you can cut these in any way, shape, or form you want. I've tried cutting them back up here at the about 3/4 of the way down the body, 2/3, whatever you want to call it, and it does an okay job. But I like to cut them just right down here where the tails actually meet the body. You can cut them down here lower and just have the tips. I've seen people do that. So I'm going to show you how I like to do it. I cut it right there at the back of the body where the tail and the body meet. Get them laid back in there good. That's the trick, is getting them back in there right and getting them in that mold laid down just right. That's nowhere near enough. Go ahead and heat that up a little bit longer. Like I said, I hope y'all can hear me over that microwave. Got me a new tripod, and it's got a mic with it and everything, so, as well as a light. Didn't give too much for it, but still using the cell phone to record, so if anything I hold up, the colors or mold or anything is backwards, it's because I'm using my cell phone and trying to make sure I'm in the shot right. Don't want my few subscribers to not be able to see me, be hanging out in the wrong side of the lens or something. So, and I've got some other stuff in the works. I've got a jig table over here off to the side where I tie my own jigs, and that's what I got started doing. My uncle, shut that beeper off. My uncle has tied jigs for years. He's the one that got me started doing this. He had an idea about making our own plastics. Had been doing some research at Netcraft and some other companies and finding out the pricing. So I thought I'd give it a shot. He's got all the lead making stuff. He's got barrel lead, and he's got all the smelter and everything, and all the lead molds and all. So I told him I would take care of doing the plastics, and he said he'd help me out with it and give me some ideas. So now that we've got our see if you can see them there. There we go. Now that we've got our tails tucked back down in the mold, we're just going to close it up just like we did before, and get our clamps on it good. We got our pumpkin seed all up to temp. Go ahead and draw it up. And get her put in the mold. Now, I recommend wearing gloves when handling these Pyrex cups and everything. Even the injector, it gets hot. Now, I don't have very much feeling left in my fingertips. I've worked construction all my life, so I don't have very much feeling left in my fingertips, so it don't bother me too much. But I've got some other molds I'm wanting to get. I got a couple right here. If I can get hold of them. There we go. I'm going to do a video on these one day. My uncle's favorite bait of all time, and he loves smallmouth fish. Now, I like smallmouth fish and largemouth fish both. He keeps saying that he can't wait on that day where I hook into about a 20 or 22 inch smallmouth and have that fight, because I've always heard that smallmouth, when they fight, it's like fighting a freight train. They hit the ones that I've caught. Now, I've never caught one keeper size, and here in East Tennessee right now, I want to say keeper size is like 18 inches or something. Now, later on, it'll change to, I think it's May to October, it'll change to 18, and then October to May, it'll go to 20 inches. But they hit lighter. The ones I've caught, they always hit lighter than a largemouth do. You know, largemouth, you'll feel that little bank, you know, little dab, little bumps, however you want to call it. And smallmouth, you just feel a little tap, just a small tap. And the ones I've been catching, I usually don't know, because the last one I caught was a couple weeks ago on a Ned rig that I'd made. I actually took I used the Yamato Cinco mold from Do It for a 5-inch, and I figured 5-inch was a good size. You know, I look at it like this: fish ain't gonna carry measuring tape around with them and measure a bait if it's a 3.5 or a 3 1/4, or in the, you know, Cinco's ballpark, 4 or 5 or 6 inch, they're not going to carry that measuring tape around and look at it and go, man, that thing's an inch too short or it's an inch too long. So I figure 5 inch. They got a 4, 5, and 6 inch mold. I figure 5 inch is the best middle ground on that. So I got the 5 inch Cinco mold, and I've got something. Another guy on YouTube actually messaged me and showed me a way to do a cool little neat trick on that, and I'll have to do a video on it. And I'm gonna do a video on these too. But my uncle's favorite bait for smallmouth is he calls it either a pig and jig or a flying rind. And if you don't know what that is, it is basically a hair jig with what they used to call pork rind. And he uses a ball jig. He'll paint it up brown, black, something like that, and he'll use bucktail. Now he'll dye different color or something. Sometimes he just leaves it brown. A lot of times he actually does leave it brown. But a flying rind is nothing but a ball jig. The way we use it is a ball jig with with deer hair tied around it, just like you would tie a rubber jig or anything like that. But instead of using, say, craw chunk or crawdad, whatever you got as a trailer, he'll use what they called Uncle Josh's was the biggest popular brand back then, but it was called pork rind. And they come in various sizes. They come in a glass jar, and it was basically just pork skin and a little bit of fat, and it was called a pork chunk. And he wanted to find a mold for one of them. So we got on the internet, we looked around, and could not find a do-it style mold, that, two-piece mold that we injected with. But I did get on, sorry, I'm out here in the garage and I thought somebody was walking in. Didn't know if he's going to get to meet the wife or something. But we did get on there, and I want to say it was Lurecraft that we found, and it is a part number, item number, whatever you want to call it, but it's 662. And it's nothing but a silicone mold, open pore mold, but it's a 4-cavity, basically the same thing as pork rind used to be. Now, I want to say this one here is a 2 inch. I don't have a measuring tape laying here, and I've probably got the receipt somewhere where I bought it. But I want to say it was like $10. Not very expensive. It's held up great. We've poured a bunch of them. Now, what I like to do on that is the body right here, I will take and pour, say, a white or a black or orange or whatever color, and I'll fill it right up to where it meets up with the tail, and then I'll stop. And then I'll let it cool down a few minutes, and then I'll pour a second color in for the tail and to fill the backside of the body up. And it's just a cool little idea me and my uncle had. Now on them, we'll use a small Pyrex cup. I think this is a cup and a third, and we'll just pour it in like that. It beats using these big cups. They were just too hard to handle and try to hold up and get the pour just right. But I'll tell you something. We were out here goofing off earlier. He's actually having to go mow. He mows for a guy, make a little extra money. But we were out here earlier, and he was wanting to try to mimic a color. And so we were out here messing around, and I think it was chartreuse pumpkin or something. He's talking to one of his neighbors, and that's what they've been biting on. And so he was wanting to try to mimic that color. So we're out here, and we didn't want to use a whole lot of plastic. We took some pumpkin seed. Actually, some of the one I got here, took and cut a little bit of it out and put it in one of these little cup and a third Pyrex cups. Now, what I want to warn you, and we hadn't ever thought about it, and I've been doing this close to a year. Been out here playing around with plastics, but he picked these up, and I want to say they come from Pottery Barn or something. But what I didn't know, this one, that there's not cooled down enough. I'll get this one up here. It's cooled down. This one is an actual Pyrex, and it says it across the bottom says for cooking, microwave safe. Now, we picked these up at like Ingles or Food City or somewhere like that, and that's a 2-cup. We've been using them. I've got 4 of them, and allows me to be able to have multiple colors going. I can do these little paddle tails in 2 colors, and then turn right around and do what I'm doing here with the pumpkin seed and chartreuse on the craw chunk, and I don't have to wait on my plastic to cool. Now you can see I got a fan going here. That's to keep the fumes off of me, because this stuff, if you overcook it, it will wreck you. It will wreck you quick. So, but it allows me to do multiple molds at once. I can clean my injector up, let it cool down and everything like that. Like I was talking about earlier, man, these things get hot. This thing is still hot. I can feel it, but it don't hurt. But we were out here earlier goofing around trying to make pumpkin chartreuse, and all we done was we cut some of my pumpkin seed, chartreuse pumpkin chartreuse, whatever you want to call it. We cut some of the pumpkin seed up and put it in one of these little 1 1/3 cups. And we took some green chartreuse and put a little bit of color in it. Was heating this up. We had pumpkin seed warmed up and had it up close to temp, and then we proceeded to put some green chartreuse in it, and was heating it up, stirring it, and we put it back in the microwave. We were just sitting here shooting the bull, you know, doing like we do, and all of a sudden we heard a clack, you know, like something glass against glass banging up against one another. Well, I set my mixing cups up here once I'm done using them, because as you can tell, that plastic's still hot. I like to set them up here on top of the microwave, and they'll cool down quicker. Allows me to put, I don't usually take mine out immediately and put back in, you know, one of my multitude of Bluebonnet, Daisy, Tupperware containers. And it just allows me to be able to set it up there, cool down, and I'll put a bag over it, especially if I'm going to come back out here the next day, or wife's hollered and said supper's ready or something like that. I can put a little shopping bag over top of it once it's cooled down enough, and I don't have to take it out of the cup every time and put it back in the Tupperware container. But now I won't leave it like that more than, you know, a day or two. Just too much chance. My garage is not sealed, so I've been out here before trying to shoot a video and haven't been able to get it because I'm out here shooing a bird away, trying to get it to get off the top of me and everything, get on out the garage. But we was out here, had that 1 1/3 cups, and I don't even think this one's Pyrex. I don't know where he got it from. I want to say Pottery Barn or something. But what we didn't know is this one is not microwave safe. And when we heard that glass clinking together, it was actually this cup, the front side of it just blew out. And we shut the microwave off. We opened it up, and there's plastic all in the bottom of the microwave. And, of course, it's got the rotating tray. So that was easy to clean up. But we didn't realize these weren't microwave safe. So now I'm going to have to find me another little 1 cup or 1 1/2 cups, 1 1/3 something smaller for me to be able to do my open pour mold. And but it's got to be microwave safe. So I won't be using this one for a little bit, just for the fact of that, or if I do use it, I'm gonna have to be really careful. Now, I don't know if it had something to do with it being the glass was cold and we put it in the microwave and was heating it up. I mean, I've been out here where I've had to have salamander heater, forced air heater, whatever you want to call it, little kerosene or diesel heater going, get the garage up to where I can tolerate it in a hoodie and 2 shirts and bogging on or something, and been out here pouring with this cup and it be ice cold, cut some plastic, put it up in it, put it in a microwave. I've done it dozens of times and never had a problem out of it until today. And it's been so cold out here when I was doing that, 30 degrees. And then when this happened earlier, it was 50, 55. So it was nowhere near cold enough for this glass to have shattered because of it being cold. So I think it's just got something to do with it. Could have been a flaw in it. Could have just been the fact that it's not microwave safe. But go ahead and open this mold up. That should have cooled down now and talked your ear off. But that's going to be a green chartreuse and pumpkin seed. Now the green chartreuse, it had, that's 40,000 silver. 40,000 silver in it. And the pumpkin seed had 40,000 black in it. So let's go ahead and open this up. See, they adhered real good. They bonded. Now you'll get a little bit of run, like that right there. I don't know if you can really tell it or not, but you'll get a little bit of the color will mix, but fish ain't gonna notice that. They're gonna go right on, eat it like it ain't nobody's business. That's, you know, this was the color combo I had on the Ned rig a couple weeks ago on we was on Norris. I was fishing the Ned rig, and I had took a 5-inch Senko and done, you know, I don't know, inch and a half of it with that green chartreuse, and then done the rest of it in pumpkin seed. And done the same thing I done here. Just poured it all green chartreuse, cut it off. The beauty of this Senko mold, and I don't know if that's what it's for. Let me put this craw chunk up. I don't know if that's what it's for, or if it was just a design and it just happened to luck out. But there's these lines made into it, and there's 3 of them. There's one here, there, and there. And what I done was I took and I poured the green chartreuse and cut it right there at that line all the way across and left the tail end in. Then I turned around and poured it the rest of the way pumpkin seed. Now I could fish it as a Senko with a green chartreuse tail, or I could cut it off, and where I like to do mine is right there at that base of the where the smooth and the rib part of the body meet up. And I just tore it right there, put this portion of the Senko on my Ned rig, and I caught a pretty good smallmouth. Where I messed up was smallmouth, when you get them up to the boat, they are notorious for shaking you. They will shake and you will lose them every time. I was trying to be a big he-man and decided I'd just boat flip him in. Now this wasn't no giant smallmouth. I mean, it was a decent sized smallmouth, maybe 15, 16 inches. It wasn't no giant, but it was a good fish. And I thought I'd be a he-man and boat flip him in, you know, do like some of them YouTube anglers do. Boat flip, get him in. Well, I messed up. I got him about 2 foot out of the water and was about to swing him over top of the edge of the boat. And he decided to give it one last fight. He took flipping around and boom, back in the water he went. So that was my mistake. I screwed up. But that pumpkin seed and green chartreuse on a Ned rig worked. Now, something I seen the other day and I didn't know because I'd never fished a Ned rig before. You're not supposed to work a Ned rig like you would a craw or a jig, anything like that, Texas rig. And I had let it stop and was shooting the bull with my uncle. And when I went to try to pick it up and start working it again, fight was on. He picked it up and started to take off with it and was just kind of cruising around all nice and slow. And when I went to work it, I pulled on him and it was on from there. It's on like Donkey Kong. No, one of my other new molds, this ain't the mold, this is the laminate plate for it. It wasn't that much more to get it. Is a Jacobs molds crappie. And I think I've showed this one in my other video. I call it a little stinger tail, but it's just a little pintail mold. It's a good mold. I've made a couple of laminates, made some solids. That's what I got, the blue and the green. I've also got a red and a violet highlight that I picked up just for doing the crappie baits. That mold is CNC'd. It's not one of these cast like I'm pointing up here, like you can actually see what I'm pointing at. I'm pointing to my Do It molds, the Essential series. That's the ones I've got. I've got them 5. The lizard, 7-inch lizard, 2-inch paddle tail, 3.5-inch paddle tail, 5-inch Cinco, and a 3 1/4 crawl chunk. I've got it in the works for some other ones. Gotta let the wife tell me I can buy them. That or sell a few things, and then I can buy the molds. But I got a few other molds I want to get. I'm wanting to get me an actual crawl, not a crawl chunk, but an actual crawl mold. And now I was fishing that same day with that Ned rig. I hooked that smallmouth. I was fishing another soft plastic Texas rig, and it wasn't one of mine because I don't have a mold for one yet. But it's what they call, I've heard them called creature baits. And it was actually a Guggen Baits trench hog, and it was watermelon. And Norris is notorious for being good. What did I say? Watermelon? I meant green pumpkin. Norris Lake is known for green pumpkin. Green pumpkin is the color on Norris Lake. Cherokee is black and blue. If you're doing a Carolina rig, around here, red is everybody's go-to color. You can do whatever you want. I mean, I much rather stick with dark color, light color, for the certain clarity of the water. I'm new to getting into hardcore fishing. I started doing the jig time with him, with my uncle, and then started doing the soft plastics. I'm in the works of possibly doing some crankbaits, maybe a little bit airbrushing with them. I've got to get my crankbait table set up, or not my crankbait, shoot. Got crankbaits on the mind. I've got to get my jig tying station set up. I've got to weld a foot back on one of the legs of it. It's sitting cockeyed right now on a piece of 2x4. But I've got to get it set up and get it stationary and get some power over to it. And get it set up to where I can actually use it with a work light and everything. I gotta get some more lights in this garage and get this place a little bit better lit so I can actually come in here and work better. Gotta get some other colors and glitters and stuff. I've been doing other stuff. Been fishing a lot, not had a whole lot of time to come out here. Work keeps me busy, and I'm actually on call right now, so hopefully my phone doesn't go off and I can actually get this video concluded. So, but this is what we've done today. Oop, about to lose them. Now here's one I took, and this was just not 15-minute ago idea. I took this lizard mold. Now this lizard mold has got a belly and a backside to it, and you got to look at it close, but the bottom has got that seam, so that's the belly of it, and then the top side of it, it don't have a seam. It's actually more of a dome, whereas this one here is more flat. So I got the brilliant idea a minute ago. Now the tail on this one has got a little curl tail, ribbon tail, whatever you want to call it, but it's real, it's real thin, and the legs are the same way. Now usually on my lizards, on this one, when I make one, I'll pull these 2 middle ones off, because I don't know about you guys, but I've never seen a 6-inch or a 6-legged lizard. So I pull them middle legs off. I don't know of a radiation leak that I've heard of. Otherwise, then we might actually start seeing 6-legged lizards. But that's the one I done a little bit ago and had a brilliant idea, and I don't know how brilliant it was, but I decided to take that baby bass and green highlight. What I done was I filled the back up, just the back and the top of the head here, with baby bass, and then let it cool, closed it up, and done the green highlight for the belly, the legs, and the tail. And I think it turned out pretty cool. I don't know how well it will do. I haven't even pulled them middle legs off yet. Meant to do that earlier and I forgot all about it. I don't know how well it's going to do, but it's worth a shot. That's the beauty of doing this, guys. You can experiment with all kinds of stuff. It's like that guy, his channel is called Bait and Tackle, but when you look him up, he's B8, the number 8, B8 N, and then tackle. So it works out as Bait and Tackle. He showed me a cool little idea the other day. It's actually been a few months back, and I've worked on it. And what he said to do was get those little posts, the little H pattern, whatever you want to call them. You see the for sale signs in the yard. Yard sale today, something like that. And he told me to take them and buy a few of them, take my Cinco mold, and he said he used the exact same mold that I did, cut it down to where it fits in there just perfect, and you can make your own core shot mold. Now mine is a 4-cavity mold. I'm not making to sale. I'm making for me, for my uncle, my son. Actually, I don't know if you can see it or not. See, get my hand going right there. There's a tackle box right there on the shelf that is my son's. And actually right there, I'm pointing at the wrong dead Jim thing. Right there. That is my son's tackle box. And I don't have a whole lot in it right now. When I make some stuff, I'll throw him a few things in there because he's not going with me. He's turning 6 at the end of July. So I'm not throwing him a whole lot of stuff in there. He's not really interested in fishing. He's more interested in playing in the water. Let's just be honest. So I've thrown him a few things in there, and it's just one of those things. I can do whatever I want to with it. But this guy was showing me how to make my own core shot mold. So I did what he told me to do. I've been using some Walmart glitter. Now I've got this bait plastics I bought straight from the company, and it's great. It's heat resistant. It will take all the temperature you can throw at it that I've been able to where you can't, before you start overcooking the plastic, and is not bled the least little bit. It has worked perfect. But the Walmart glitter, not so much. I tried to do a red core shot with a clear body, and I had just plain red for the core, and then I done red and silver glitter in the body. And it was supposed to be, when you heat plastisol up, bare plastisol, clean plastisol, whatever you want to call it, when you heat it up, get it to temp, it clears. When you first pour it out, it's that milky color, and when you get it up to temp, it turns out clear. And I put the red and silver in it. I was heating it up, didn't think anything about it, wasn't paying attention to the color of it, and the red glitter from Walmart bled, and it caused it to turn it a fluorescent, or whatever. I mean, you wouldn't call it fluorescent, but it was a transparent red, very, very fine, almost a pink color. But I mean, it looked good. The color was great. I mean, not what I intended on doing, but it turned out pretty cool looking. But for the core shot, it did not work. You could somewhat see the red core through it, but it wasn't the standout I was wanting to see of the red standing out of that clear body. So, but he showed me a really cool idea. I'll do a video on it. I don't know when I can get some time, hopefully. Between working 5 days a week, off 2, I don't do anything on Sundays, church day. I try to spend time with the family because I'm usually, if I'm not working at work, I'm working at home. And when I have a free time, Friday nights late, Saturday nights late, I'll come out here, make some stuff, or I'll be out here working on the four-wheeler or the Bronco or something. It's the first chance I've got to make a video in a couple months. So, anyway, but no, that trench hog, back to what I was talking about. I am bad for that. I have got to quit doing that. I am bad for talking about something else, getting off tangent, off subject, however you want to word it. But the trench hog that day when I caught that smallmouth on that Ned rig, I cast it out, and something was jacked up with my line. Now, I'm new to bait casters. I am right-handed, so there's my wedding ring. There's my watch. I am right-handed, and for some reason, nobody ever told me when I was growing up that if you're right-handed, you were supposed to retrieve with your right hand. I'd never owned a bait caster before, and I got into bass fishing on the boat with my uncle. He said, you got to get you a bait caster. Got to get you a bait caster. So I've been buying them here and there and everything, and I've always left my handle on the left side of my spinning reels. So I'm used to setting the hook with my right hand and retrieving with my left hand. So when I went to looking for a bait caster, I was looking at him and I was like, so where's the bait caster has the retrieve on the left side? I said, so you're looking for a left-hand retrieve? It's like, well, I'm right-handed. So, okay, well, you can use a right-hand retrieve. I bought two, and I'd cast out with my right hand, and then I'd switch. And I missed so many fish. Not a ton, but enough that it irritated me. So I could not get it in my head, because when I felt the bump, I kept wanting to take my right hand up. And instead, I should have been doing my left hand, trying to set the hook with my right, or my left instead of my right. So I lost a ton of fish doing that, and I just decided that's it. That Jim, where'd the ant come from? Just decided that's it. I'm going to go left-hand retrieve. So I found me some left-hand retrieves, got rid of my right-hand retrieves, and I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving it. But I threw out that day, throwing this trench hog, and I've been having luck on it. Guess they were just in the mood for creature baits. So had it Texas rigged, sitting out there just popping it, working it, and everything. And I cast it out this one time, and either I had a knot in my line I didn't know about or something, but I started to cast it, and I got it out so far, and it just stopped the reel and just fell. So, of course, it bird's nested, and I had to pick and pick and pick and pick and pick. Well, this one was the Mac Daddy of bird's nest that I had had to this day. And I know there's a learning process when using a bait caster, because I've never used one in my life, but you have the ability to adjust the brakes, to adjust the drag on it. Not just the drag, but, adjust the brakes, adjust the settings on it. And I'd had it what I thought was tuned. And I don't know if that's what caused it or if there was a knot in my line. But I'm gonna stick with it. It's my story. I'm gonna stick with it. There was something wrong with the line. Could have been user error, but I'm not gonna admit to it. Anyway, threw it out. It stopped. It hit the water. I wasn't 10 foot from the boat. So I proceeded to pick this giant bird's nest out. In the process of doing so, my bait has started to drift behind the boat. Now, of course, it's Texas rig, weighted Texas rig. So it's sunk to the bottom and just kind of dragging along behind the boat. I'm still operating the trolling motor, because my uncle says, I've took care of you long enough. It's time for you to learn how to do it so you can take care of me. So I'm up there operating the trolling motor. I'm picking this bird's nest out. He's back there behind me still fishing on the backside of the bass boat. He's just laughing. And I'm sitting there picking this thing. Line's taut. And all of a sudden I feel a bump. Now, my line was tight because it also, where I've been picking, was going down to my feet, where I've been spooling it off the reel. And I had my foot on it. Didn't know it, but I had my foot on it. And I felt my foot go bump. Well, of course, your first instinct is you're going to pick that rod up. Well, I went to try to set the hook and realized, oh, I don't have it. So I reached down and grabbed the line and could not believe it. And I know you are not going to believe it either, but I would lay hand to Bible right now that I had caught a fish. Now, I did not land him. He got off, because have you ever seen a guy try to lay a reel down in the bottom of the boat without throwing it overboard and get down and try to hand reel a fish in when you can't get a hold of the line, you're trying to find it, the fish is fighting. So I proceeded to try to hand reel this thing in, and I seen him, and he spit me, and off he went. This is a nice little largemouth. I mean, pound and a half, something like that. He wasn't no big giant. But we ended up catching some good fish that day. Bunch of dinks, nothing keeper size. I skunked him. He'd skunked me plenty of other times, but I skunked him that day and decided I'm going to try to start looking for me a creature bait mold. So I'm on the hunt for that. Something similar to a trench hog, hopefully. But a good day, well, trying to say it backwards. A bad day on the lake is better than a good day at work. Don't matter if it is pouring down the rain or if the sun is ablazing and you get a sunburn, because that's what I'm working with right now. That is not from the lake. That is actually from work. But as you can see, my farmer's tan I got going on here. Short sleeves. Beats a long sleeve in the sun. But I had fun. But you need to go on TikTok. If you're on TikTok, go on TikTok. Follow me, Maples Outdoors. Hit the subscribe button on YouTube here. Hit that bell notification, because when I post a video, you do not want to miss it. I want to try to get subscribers up. I am at 10. I'd like to see 20. I'd like to see 25, 50. I'd like to be able to get out there a little bit better than I am, and I know posting content is the way to do it, but get on there, hit the subscribe button, follow me on TikTok, and remember, guys, hook sets are free, fish them hard, whatever you want to say, but go out there, have fun, do something you love, and you never know. You might be able to make something. The most exciting fun I've had fishing, and I am in my 30s. I'm about to be 34 years old. And the most exciting thing was when I caught my first fish, and it's only been a year ago, on a bait that I had made. And it wasn't this one. This was just a recent idea. But I took some old worms, purple of all colors, melted them down, and I made a 2-inch paddle tail. And that was the most exciting, besides my very first fish I'd ever caught, was the first fish I caught on my own bait that I had made. So get out there, guys. Feel that thump on that line. Set that hook. Hook sets are free. Have fun. And we'll catch y'all next time. Peace.